Hello and welcome to Monkey's Paper Palooza Craft Corner. Today we are going to be doing a video on some of my favorite little embellishments, and that is enamel dots. But I make my own, and I'm going to show you how I make them using a basic thing called Perler Beads. So what I do is I start with my Ranger melting pot. These are hard to find right now, but you can also use your oven or a toaster oven if you feel safe doing so. You can also even get some of the little chocolate melting pots and sometimes do the same thing. So what I do is I set mine on the highest setting, which is the UTEE on the melting pot. This is used for melting enamel and also for melting embossing powders. So these are the coarse Perler beads, and I use a case to store mine from really useful boxes. I have a little stack with all these little colorful boxes which hold just about a full bag of Perler beads, which is awesome. And I have a variety of them at here. I'm going to show you different types. I got the basic stripe, the pearl stripe, the basic solid Perler beads, as well as the clear, because they're all going to melt a little bit different. And I want to show you what they look like when they melt. So I'm going to speed this up for us. What I do is I put a layer of them on my pot when it's warmed up on a piece of parchment paper that I've cut to fit this. Parchment paper, of course, is super cheap. You can get that anywhere, any of your grocery stores, Walmarts, etc. So now I'm going to cut some in half. Now to make smaller Perler beads, you would cut your Perler bead in half. To make larger ones, they use usually the T method. Now I'm going to say a little something about the T method. It sometimes works, sometimes doesn't, and it's very hard sometimes to keep flat, and they roll away, and sometimes you get some odd shaped ones. I will do one later and show you, just so you have an idea of what you do to make bigger ones. It will not stay sometimes. So there's my first batch here, and they're falling everywhere. And I just fill as much of the area as I can. So after 15 minutes, you notice they're starting to get nice and flat. Of course, the small ones have a nice little shape to them, and the big ones have that. Now they are not quite done because you can still see the little circle center, and that will be the test. So what I usually do now is I let them cool for a little bit. You notice the clear ones, the kind of frosted ones, are now crystal clear. They will not stay this way. As they cool down, they will turn more of the frosted color again. They are fun for like little frosty dots and stuff. I'll also show you at the end another thing you can do to use those. Alright, so the little ones look like they are pretty much done. The big ones, not so much. So what I usually do is I take them off the sheet once they're cooled. Sometimes I even have two sheets, so I'll put one in and then just pull them off and put them on there. And I'll put the ones that are not quite done and put them back on. And the reason I do this is sometimes when you move them around on a sheet, there's different areas that might be hotter. So when you rotate them, you actually rotate the Perler beads so that they are in the most optimum melting area. So it makes sure that you get more of an even melt throughout. And I do suggest always checking them every 15 minutes just to make sure you don't have any burning, especially if you're doing this in your toaster oven or oven. I prefer doing it this way only because using a melting pot, because I don't want to have that mess. As you see on the bottom, I did one in the T method. So what you do is you put another Perler bead and then put one sideways. Now, like I told you, sometimes they fall down and you get these odd, deformed Perler beads. Every once in a while, I luck out and I get some that are perfect. But that's, honestly, for me, that is a kind of a too big Perler bead to use. For an enamel dot, for me, it's just, they seem too big either way. So I usually don't make those. I usually make the standard size and the half size. And as you see, majority of these are now done. So I am going to let the sheet cool for a little bit so I can pull them off. And I know once little clear ones turn a little opaque, that is done. And I believe the UTE is almost 350 degrees, if I remember correctly. So I'll pull those off. I will have some links on my WordPress site on this too for you guys. That way you guys can have a more written detail on how to make them. So as you can see, those are the two different sizes. Let me get you a little closer. There's a small versus a large. And that's our deformed super big one. All right, so now that you've seen basic ones, let's talk about more fun ones. Now there's two types that I'm going to show you today. One is the flower, which is kind of cool. You do one perler in the center and then you surround it with a different color perler bead. And that will make a flower design. So a very fun way to add little flower embellishments to your card. And another one that's really popular too, I know, is the Mickey Mouse. So let me get my black perler beads out. After all, Mickey Mouse would be black. Oops, one got away from me. And you just put them together. I can do this without burning my hand a little bit on the sheet so that they make a little triangle. And that will make your little Mickey Mouse. So let me set this for 15 minutes. As you see, they're starting to melt together. And you're starting to get that fun shape. And since we still see that center dot, we're not quite ready. So we can let this go on a little longer. And like I said, I always check mine every 15 minutes just to make sure. Now you're seeing that the flower is completely melted now. And I'm going to make a mistake here and pull it off a little too soon. I really should let it cool a little bit longer because they will warp if you pull them off too fast. So I usually let them cool a lot longer, but for the sake of this video, I'm rushing it. So I'm going to put the Mickey Mouse back in there because he's not quite done. He's almost there, but not quite. This is great for people that like to do those little character cards with Mickey Mouse and Minnie Mouse on there. And there is our little flower. And isn't that pretty? You can do that with a variety of colors and you can make a little flower design with that. And like I said, it's a little warped because I pulled it off before it cooled. If I had let it cool, it wouldn't have warped. And there is our Mickey. Isn't he cool? So a great way to make little Mickey Mouses out of perler beads. It is a fun way to make embellishments for your cards. And pretty much basically to make these you need a heating element, whether it be a melting pot or a toaster oven or even your oven on a baking tray, and some parchment paper and an X-Acto knife for cutting them in half. But just look at the beautiful things and think of all the possibilities you have. I mean, how many different colors or perler beads do they have out there? Tons. And you can make such beautiful colors. And they're super cheap. I would recommend, of course, using the perler. I will not say really quickly, do not use generic ones. I feel like they don't melt as well as they stink a little bit sometimes. And the same thing with the pony beads, the bigger ones. They tend to stink. These are, as far as I know, I have never smelled any odor coming off them when they've been melting. And I feel like they're a lot less toxic than some of those other ones that could be out in the market. So I definitely recommend the Perler brand. You can get them usually from Perler for $1.99 a bag. Just think of like how many of these you can make out of a bag. You know, tons. And it'll last you forever. So as you need them, you just make them and you just add them to your designs. And there's so many other fun things you can do with the Perler beads too. There's different designs, different techniques to make different shapes. These are just a few. But it is a great way, like I said, to make fun little enamel dots at home without spending hundreds of dollars on ones already made. You know, I carry them on my site, the ones I make, so that you guys can buy them. But if you want to bake your own, feel free to, because it's an easy way to make some for you. Now, I say parchment paper is your key method of melting. It's very non-stick. It can be highly heat resistant. It does not burn, and it's an awesome non-stick surface. A lot of bakers use it because of that. So definitely an easy way to do this. Like I said, this is definitely a great tool. Now, like I said, the clear ones have a wonderful feature. And what's nice about that is, I will show you in a minute, you can paint them. Now, like I said, if this had cooled, if I had let this cool, it wouldn't have warped. It would have been better. But I was a little rushed. So let's go into painting these clear ones. These, you get that beautiful pearl sheen. Aren't those pretty? And look at these frosted ones are great for winter scenes, but I also found that if you really want to color these and you feel like, you can paint them with nail polish on some wax paper and let them dry and then peel them off. So you can make they're paintable because they have that opaqueness underneath them. So it's another option for you. Or you can color them alcohol markers too. And the whites are just fun little basic colors that you can use. And of course, the little pinwheel ones are so much fun for like candy cards or Christmas cards. If you get the red and white, you can do Christmas candy canes. It's so much fun. Look at that. So great way to make these. Easy as pie. You know, it just takes checking them every 15 minutes and then pulling them off the parchment paper. And then you have your own. And then you can attach them with any type of glue that you feel is super sticky enough to hold it. So if you like this video, please check out the last video we uploaded, as well as one specially curated just for you. And like always, we welcome you to like, subscribe, and ring for notifications, but also check out our webpage, as well as our Instagram, Pinterest, Facebook, and now WordPress pages. So check out the link below.